Good morning. Here's the fourth installment of, I guess it was called Talking with Todd. I don't know who came up with that, but we'll live with it. I want to welcome Meagan Miksch. Did I pronounce that right?
It's actually Miksch. It's hard. It's complicated. It's a German name, so it's a little tricky.
Very complicated.
Yeah.
So thank you. Meagan is with Becket Staging. We've been using Meagan on the last couple jobs and been extremely, extremely impressed with her vision and being able to, the last one was quite interesting, a home that was on the market well over a year with another broker. We went in and did a Compass Concierge project, and at the tail end of the Compass Concierge, we knew it was going to be staging. And we brought Meagan in, and home sold in a matter of days. And a lot of it happened to just being able to visualize a house differently for the consumers to see. So we thank Meagan, and that was why we wanted to bring her on the call today, just to discuss staging with the buyers and sellers, to understand during these times, post these times, really what staging means from the coming out of the mouth of a stager and not out of the mouth of a realtor, that at times the consumer feels like we're trying to force feed another expense out of their pocket. So Meagan, welcome.
Yeah, thanks, Todd. It's been great working with y'all.
Thank you.
That house that we did was beautiful. And so the vision and everything, the work that y'all did on it, and then the staging, it was just like cherry on top. I'm so glad it sold quick. That was a great testimony to staging and to Compass too.
Well, thank you. And yes, I will say, being able to use all the tools in our tool chest at times makes things a very nice and easy process, and it always helps when you're working with good people.
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. So again, we just wanted to chat a little bit and bring to knowledge to the buyers and sellers what staging really means. So I guess my first question to you is, as a stager, we present to our clients all the time why we feel it's beneficial and why we think a seller should take on the cost of staging. But there's also a sense to the buyer as well. So what's your sort of take in the beneficial side of to the buyer and seller of staging?
Yeah, so for the seller, you're right. Sometimes you're trying to convince people to spend more money, and it can be, people are hesitant to go ahead and drop money before you ever even list. And so, they have statistics, but I really think, for me, I like to explain it to people in a way that they probably relate a little bit more to. So I always tell them to think of the HGTV shows. So, you spend an hour watching these shows, and you get down to the last 7 minutes of the show waiting for this reveal, and they open the door, and it would be a really lame show if they opened the door and it was just an empty home. And you see, it's the staging that creates people crying, people getting excited about the home. And so for me, it's easy to tell people, okay, imagine these shows. That's the kind of emotional connection that you're trying to get people to feel when they walk inside. You can put a lot of work and effort into remodeling and sprucing it up, but without having staging, you're not going to have that emotional connection, which I think that's what you want. That's what drives people to bid over asking and to get really involved, to where they're like, I have to have this house. And so also, with home builders, they have these model homes, and they spend a lot of money on these model homes. And so they get it. Like, they understand that staging is going to really create that, like, I have to have this type of, emotion. And so I think for people, that's easier to think about than just like 85% of buyers can, see themselves in your home. And so for sellers, it's that emotional connection. And then for buyers, staging is important because a lot of times you'll have two big spaces that run into each other. You've got a funky room, or, it's visualizing the space for them. And so that it's hard for people to look past paint colors and different funky rooms. And so being able to visualize the space for them and give them that look to know, okay, this is where we put our table, this is where we could put our couch. That's really beneficial too for both buyer and seller.
It's interesting you say that on two parts. Is I came from Vegas and sold my real estate company there, but when I was in Vegas, completely different business setup that I have now. I had a partner similar to now. That was similar. And the two parts of that was I had a business partner, but then I also sold in a lot of production, and the production came from a lot of new homes. And so the business partner side of it, as you just said, people don't have vision, is I'd walk into a house with him and we look at it either to put it on the market. We were at that time buying houses ourselves, as either flips or investment properties. And I'd see something, and for somehow or another, I was born with this ability to see past a lot of things. And he couldn't see past it. And we're both selling real estate. And I thought he was extremely smart, and he was extremely smart, but I realized he was not a visual person.
Yeah.
Then I started breaking it down, and I realized 70+% of people aren't visual people. And I was lucky that I was born with the sense of visualization. But then I realized that, well, he couldn't look past it, but most consumers couldn't look and see things that I was seeing either.
Yeah.
So that it helped me in my business, in the fact that I was able to help consumers. But I realized consumers were looking at me like, yeah, you're helping me, but I still don't see it. So that was interesting. And then you said on the other side is when I was selling all these new homes, we go into the models and clients were excited and jumping for joy. We'd spent the next 6 months if they were going to the design center, picking out their stuff. And then we go to the pre-construction walk, the construction walk, and they'd see their house and they're excited. Then all of a sudden, the final day that they were moving in and getting their keys, they walk in and they're like, is this the same house?
Yeah. Are you sure?
And they were disappointed. It was supposed to be the most exciting day of their life, but they looked at the model and they looked at the house that was done, and they're like, this isn't the same house. This isn't the house that I bought. And we're like, it is.
Yeah.
It's funny how how you look at that, and it's, visualization. And you mentioned it. It's not like you go to any furniture store and you walk into this big box and they just have computers and catalogs open. That would be easy.
Right. Yeah.
And have you look at it. No, they bring all the furniture in and have different areas of the showroom set up so you can visualize what the items will look like, or else everyone would sit at home and order furniture online.
Right. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you've got to have that. Most people can't see it. And it's funny to me, people can get caught up on a paint color in a home, and that would be a reason that they don't buy a house. And I'm thinking, really? How could that be a way to not buy a house? It's such an easy, but if they go in and they say, I don't want a purple house, they can't look past it. So.
And we tell consumers all the time, sellers, is when you go and you don't do something and you say, well, it's a cheap fix, they'll take care of it. Simple, like you just said, if the entire house is, and let's hypothetically say there's no HOA and there's a house in Central Austin that's painted purple, and the buyers absolutely hate the color purple and they want to paint it white. Well, most sellers are like, that's a $10,000 fix, hypothetically. Well, unfortunately, every buyer looks at it and no, that's a $20,000 fix, because they're going to double the cost of whatever anything costs. One, they don't know. They haven't had a bid done on it. And two, it's their time, energy, and effort. So they're gonna put a double figure on it just because now they got to deal with it. So sellers a lot of times don't seem to think that they have a tendency to think that everyone's visual just like them, and that every buyer is willing to just take on a house project the day that they move in. And there are investors that are, but most people aren't investors.
Right. And if they're an investor, they want a deal. They're not going to pay top dollar. So you're trying to get the maximum amount of money for your house, and it definitely is worth the investment.
Yeah. Interesting. Now that's we both, and just so everyone knows, Megan and I did not have a pre-talk on how to answer these questions.
Yeah.
So it's sort of interesting.
I'm trying to trick people.
Right. So we are seeing things the same way. And the bottom line is just to close up that question is, buyers need to be able to see a visual of how they expect they're going to live in the house, whether they do or not. And whether you put in a, hypothetically $4,000 couch that looks beautiful, they may not go buy a $4,000 couch that looks beautiful, but it gives them the vision how they think they're going to live in that house, and makes them feel a sense of joy, and makes them feel like it's a home, and just not another house.
Right, for sure.
Interesting. So we did talk a little bit about this, and I'll just have you answer a little bit. As far as prepping your home during quarantine, post quarantine, um, what do you see happening right now as far as your industry being able to stage homes? And then also, what do you see as a safety measure being taken? And what should a consumer know and not be afraid of having, strange furniture come into, and thankfully you only do vacant homes, but they still may go back there. Their kids may go back there. It's still their home. So what's sort of the comfort level that they don't need to worry about?
Yeah, so that's something that you would want to ask the stager specifically what their protocol is. So I'm a part of the National Staging Association. As far as what we're doing right now in shelter in place, what seems to be across the board pretty much is most stagers aren't working unless if there is a home that's closing and the furniture needs to be removed. So we're trying to take extra precaution, just as citizens and a community of pitching in and saying, hey, we're all sheltering in place and we don't see this as essential to stage vacant homes right now. Just trying to do our part in this whole lockdown to try to get past it so we can start staging again. But as far as feeling comfortable, I would ask the stager, a lot of times, sometimes the furniture can come out of one house and go into another house. And so I would see if you could have furniture pulled from the warehouse, because most likely if it's coming from the warehouse, it's been sitting there for at least a few days, which they know. I mean, they've said there's kind of, I don't know exactly what it is, but a few days lag time is, I think, good for not having the furniture in another home. And then as far as transporting the furniture, you could ask them to wrap the furniture in plastic and have everything in tubs and plastic so that it's not being touched multiple times coming from the warehouse into your home. So there's, not a bunch of hands on it. And then also trying to ask them what their protocol is for leaving the home. So bringing in Lysol, disinfectant wipes, wiping everything down, just trying to do everything possible to make you feel comfortable with the furniture in your home.
Very nice. No, it makes sense. And, everyone's very cautious right now. And as Meagan said, I think the most important thing right now is just making sure that it's the safety and health of everyone. So one, if you don't need to get a house staged right away, maybe hold off a little bit, and utilize tools. There's virtual staging companies out there, which I'm not saying that is the end all be all, but right now, if you're going to, have a house coming soon, maybe do that for a couple weeks and then, hire Meagan to come in and then stage the house once we're past all this. So it's just being safe and knowing what to do and what not to do, and try to be as sensible as possible that, yes, staging is extremely important, but putting people at risk right now is probably not the best and most forward thinking thing right now is
Right. Yeah, I agree. And it's it's so different. We're all trying to navigate this together. But I think the general consensus is that doing our part is staying home, just as what they're asking us to do. And it's not life or death to come stage. And so trying to keep, hospitals clear and everyone at home and the least amount of contact, at least for the time being, until this is lifted, I think is the smartest thing that we can do as an industry.
Absolutely. So where do you sort of see, let's say this is gone in a couple of months or whatever the case may be, or a day or whenever shelter in place is taken off, and also just there's no hidden fact that our economy is in a very bad place. Unfortunately, I'm unlike most that think that we're in this U curve and we're all going to go back to work and we're all going to be making a crap load of money again, and home values are going to continue to go up. Unfortunately, if oil prices are below negative, are in the negative, if people don't have jobs in mass quantity, if companies that we knew yesterday are not here tomorrow,
Mhm.
it's going to be you know, in my opinion, a 3 to 5 year turn in the U.S. economy. I do think Austin will rebound quicker than most. But with that being said, where do you see the benefit of staging moving forward? I know I have my opinions, but I'd love to hear your thoughts on the staging industry and then the benefits and why you think where it should go after this all opens up.
Yeah, that's a great question. So, I've been doing this for 4 years. So it has been a very hot market, as you know, in Austin. And even though it's been a very strong seller's market, I've still been crazy busy. I think, like what I had talked about before with the HGTVs, people see the benefits of staging now. They can kind of see it on the show and know, oh, it's really put staging on the map. So even in a seller's market, staging has been strong. So I do definitely think it's going to turn into a buyer's market. Just kind of what I think in the next few months is, the market's still been pretty busy now, but I think it's going to slow down for sure, like you've said. And so I think for me, staging is important for both buyers and sellers. But when you're in a buyer's market, there's going to be more inventory on the market. You're going to have to set yourself apart from the other inventory. That's the biggest thing, setting yourself apart. And so now, even with low inventory and things selling quickly, that creates the buzz of people maybe offering over asking, and there's, multiple bids on a house. So that's the benefit when it's a seller's market. But for the buyer's market, you've got to be different from everyone else. And so I think that's probably the biggest benefit of staging when the market slows down.
I would agree. I mean, what people don't seem to understand is staging is more important when there's more inventory, when there's very limited inventory and people have minutes to make a decision
right.
on a house that they're going to buy for potentially the next 10, 15, 20, 30 years of their life. It's not nearly, I still feel it's important, but it's not nearly important in a lot of people's minds, even though they need to understand that a vacant house versus one that's staged probably would have netted them more money. I think the learning curve for most sellers is going to be, is it used to, the general rule of thumb in a seller's market is, what did the last one sell for? Okay, it sold for this. Let's ask this. Okay, we have no comps that your house will sell for that. But in most people's mindset, well, the market's only going to continue to go up. So if that one sold for X number, let's go 10% higher and sell it for that. I think the learning curve is going to be, is most sellers are going to need to look at, okay, that one sold for this. Oh crap, we got to list for 10% less because we got to be more aggressive than the other 15. And how can we look better than the rest? Well, if we're just lower than the other one that they're looking at. So it's going to be their learning curve of, oh, wait a second, we're not going to get more than our neighbor. We might actually get less. So that's the first learning curve. And then it's going to be, okay, you're telling me I'm going to get less, but now you want me to spend more money too?
Right.
And it's like, yes, that's sort of the process. Is like anything else, you need to spend money to make money. As realtors, we're spending a lot of money up front, hoping to get reimbursed from the sale of a property. Same thing for the seller is, we can do everything in our power to market the house the best that we possibly can, but you have a position to market your house the best way possible to making it look the best it possibly can. So it's going to be a learning curve for a lot of sellers, I think, to realize, hey, we need a price differently than we ever have before. And on top of this, we need to spend some money to get the home sold. So it's going to be interesting, but I do agree with you, in a buyer's market, it's much more important than in a seller's market.
Right. And that's a big benefit. It sounds like a Compass is that, it makes it a little bit easier. It's easier for people to go, okay, we're not having to, and, up front, put all this money up front. And for you, it's beneficial because it makes your listing stick out more and kind of takes that anxiety away of like, I'm spending all this money. Is it going to work? But yeah, I agree. It's really important in a buyer's market. The hard thing that's going to be hard for sellers and realtors is realtors convincing the sellers that, that it's really important. Yep. So.
I definitely agree. And what Meagan was talking about there is, and I guess we'll give a little shameless plug to ourselves, is Compass Concierge. We are the only ones across the industry. I know there's other companies trying to offer the same, but it's a zero interest, zero payment to you, the consumer, the seller. and basically we front all the costs. So we're paying Megan, we're paying for that furniture in your house. Up front, you will obviously need to pay for it at the back end, but it ends up on your HUD settlement statement. So, unfortunately, as a seller and as you enter into a buyer's market, it's not, okay, if my house hasn't sold in a week, what's wrong with it? It's going to be more normal of, your home could sit on the market 90 days and that furniture could sit in your house for 90 days. And there is a cost, there is an expense. And it's a little gut wrenching when you're making a mortgage payment, you're paying the taxes, you're paying the HOA, and now we're throwing at you, hey, now you need to pay for some staging. Well, the benefit is, no, we're going to take care of the staging. It'll end up on the back end of your settlement statement. So that way you close your eyes. We do that marketing side of it for you, make your house look the most presentable, and work in a very positive way. So thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah, definitely. And it makes you have a little bit more skin in the game too. It's not just you saying, hey, you should drop this much money and it'll be great. It's you kind of saying, no, we believe in it this much that we're going to, loan you the money first. And that's how much we think it will benefit the home.
Absolutely. Well, I think we pretty much beat this dead horse, and answered a lot of potential questions for the consumers out there. And I definitely appreciate your time and your knowledge in the industry.
Definitely. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. One thing I will give Megan a little bit of a plug. First of all, everybody, she is 6 months pregnant, and you could probably not tell from this video chat. So congratulations.
Thank you. Thanks. It's a crazy time to be pregnant, but yeah, it's fun.
Yes, it is. Well, stay healthy, stay safe. Again, I'm going to try this. Meagan Miksch.
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 Yep.
And you would think that we just met, but we've been working together. Again, it's Becket Staging. You can reach her at 512-663-4590. And, she's awesome. So feel free to reach out directly to her and utilize our services. So again, thank you, Megan.
Yeah, thanks, Todd. Have a good day.
You too. Thank you.